everybody was doing it in the league.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was, I mean, if I would have told on everybody that was doing it, I could have brought the league down. If that's the only thing that you're thinking about doing is getting high.
It had
Everybody was on.
It had white because it's like a fraternity, you know.
Mhm.
It's just wiped through us, man.
These are the NBA legends who survived the darkest stretch in basketball history, and now they are finally speaking up about what really went down. This was not some small scandal buried in the background. This was a full-blown crisis that almost wiped out the league from the inside out. Between 1978 and 1986, reports estimate that anywhere from 40 to 75% of NBA players were using cocaine. Let that sink in. That means nearly half, maybe more, of the league was caught in it. Some players were even smoking freebase. Money was bleeding out of the league. Networks had lost faith. CBS was airing NBA Finals games on tape delay at midnight because viewers simply did not care anymore. That is how low the brand had fallen. The glamour was gone, the credibility was slipping, and behind the scenes, the chaos was louder than the crowd. The men who made it out are no longer staying quiet. They are opening up about what it felt like to live in a locker room where temptation was everywhere. Spencer Haywood, a Hall of Fame forward, entered the league like a superstar rocket. As a rookie, he averaged 30 points and 19 rebounds per game. He became the youngest MVP in ABA history at just 21 years old. That kind of rise is unreal. But by 1980, his career hit a brutal wall. During the NBA Finals, he was dismissed from the Los Angeles Lakers after falling asleep at practice. That fall from grace shocked everyone.
But at the time that I got caught, everybody was doing it in the league.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was, I mean, if I would have told on everybody that was doing it, I could have brought the league down. But I kept my, mouth closed.
Drugs was big, not just what you was doing, but drugs was big in the league, period.
Oh, it had
Everybody was on.
It had white because it's like a fraternity, you know.
Mhm.
It's just wiped through us, man.
When I got to New York, you just start hanging out, meet, like different people, and like one thing leads to like another. You know what I mean? You get out and you get to start partying. Guys who want you, try this and try this. Okay, it's good. I'm gonna try it. And that's how you get into it. You know what I mean?
I was piping, man.
Yeah.
Shit.
Freebase.
Yeah, man, what do I want to snort for when I got freebase?
Right to the money. Straight to it.
Michael Ray Richardson was another elite talent. Four-time All-Star, led the league in steals 3 different times, electric on the court. But the headlines do not tell the whole story. John Drew became the first active NBA player ever banned for life by the league. Then in January 1986, Richardson became the second. Just 1 month later in February, the message was clear. The league had reached a breaking point. These are not simple cautionary tales meant to scare young athletes. These are first-hand accounts from players who lived through a time when cocaine flowed through locker rooms like it was normal. It was documented heavily in Jeff Pearlman's book Showtime. What many fans fail to understand is that this was not about a few reckless individuals making bad choices. This was deeper than that. The culture itself had cracked. The drug became so normalized that players were reportedly dealing with each other before games, even during warm-ups. Think about that for a second. The foundation of the league was eroding, while Commissioner Larry O'Brien tried to keep everything from collapsing in public view. Richardson said it plainly. This was not about weakness. It was about a substance that was pushed as a performance enhancer for athletes chasing fame, money, and non-stop nightlife. Spencer Haywood explained how fast it spread. Once it entered the circle, it moved quickly. This was not isolated. It was everywhere, and the damage went far beyond the box score. In January 1987, the fallout hit hard. The Houston Rockets lost both Louis Lloyd and Mitchell Wiggins to lifetime bans. Devastating does not even begin to cover it. This was a squad built around Hakeem Olajuwon and Ralph Sampson, a team with real championship hopes suddenly ripped apart by scandal. And it was not just Houston. Denver Nuggets star David Thompson, the same man who once exploded for 73 points in a single game, watched his own career unravel under similar struggles. These were not bench players. These were elite talents.
And that's the problem with it, because it gives you that false impression like I can handle it, I can do this, and I can, keep doing what I'm doing on the basketball court. Right. But like after a while, just catches up with you because you get so wrapped up in it. If that's the only thing that you're thinking about doing is getting high.
Wood, we need you, baby. We need you. And I was like, I got you, brother. I got you. And he said, look at this film here. You see, I dropped that pass on you like this. it's missing your hand. You like you drop it. I was like, hold it. It's not me.
It's the ball.
It's you, Magic.
It's you, huh? Yeah.
You see that? Look, run it back, Pat. You have fallen off so far on the rebounds. We can't make it without you getting the rebounds. I said, Cap, let's look at the tape again. So Cap looked at the tape, and I said, see, your sky hook is coming off
Off the rim the wrong way.
the wrong way.
Now picture the environment. It is 1979. You are 24 years old. You are making more money than anyone in your family has ever seen. You are living in Los Angeles or New York. The nightlife is wild, fame is instant, and cocaine is being sold to you as a harmless boost, a so-called wonder drug with no real downside. Movie stars are using it, musicians are using it, teammates are passing it around like candy in the locker room. That is the culture these players stepped into. Michael Ray Richardson explained how easy it was to get caught up. There was no dramatic entry point, no dark alley moment. It was just there, always there. But here is where the story turns shocking. Some players were smoking freebase cocaine, the most addictive form of the drug, and still walking onto NBA courts like nothing was wrong. Spencer Haywood admitted he was using freebase while playing for the Los Angeles Lakers during the NBA Finals. Think about that for a second. The biggest stage in basketball, and addiction was sitting right there beside him, was down to just 7 points and 5 rebounds. By the end of the year, he was down to just 7 points and 5 rebounds. He lost 20 pounds. His body was shrinking. His production was collapsing. And yet, inside his own mind, he believed he was fine. That is the trap. Richardson described the denial as so deep that even when players watched game film of their own decline, they could not see it. They argued with coaches. They argued with teammates. Haywood recalled a conversation with Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar trying to step in. Imagine that scene. Two legends pulling you aside, trying to help. And you are so far gone that you are debating basketball skills with them while your own game is falling apart in real time. The breaking point came during the 1980 NBA Finals. Haywood had reportedly been on a 24-hour binge. Trying to settle himself down, he took 2 Quaaludes. Then he showed up to practice. Head coach Paul Westhead sent him home. The Lakers went on to win the championship without him. He did not receive a ring. He was not allowed at the championship parade. That is how quickly everything slipped away.
All of a sudden I fall asleep, and I'm hearing cars banging, people banging on my door. I'm like, hey, what the y'all doing? Hitting my Rolls Royce like this. And I'm so freaking tired and so fucked up that I fall asleep.
Oh, shit.
Here's Jamal, get up, get up, get up, get up. And I'm like, well, where am I?
Oh, shit.
We're in the finals.
But you in fairy tale land.
At that time, it was like a love drug. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody said it was a love drug. All the movie stars, all the actors, and they was into it.
Yeah.
And then, like what happened, then like in the late 70s and the mid 80s, then they came out with the rock cocaine.
Yeah, freebase.
And then like that took it to a whole nother level. Here they lied.
They lied.
The problem is, you know, the whole thing with like cocaine, it's not a physical addiction. Right. It's a mental addiction.
Yeah.
You know, because like as long as you don't do it, you don't want it. But once you start doing it, you can't stop doing it.
While players were spiraling, the league itself was bleeding credibility. Television ratings collapsed. The 1981 NBA Finals on CBS averaged a 6.7 rating, the lowest in league history until 2003. Playoff games were being aired on tape delay at 11:30 at night because networks refused to interrupt regular programming. 16 of the league's 23 teams were losing money. On-court fights were common. Public trust was fading. The NBA was turning into a punchline. Commissioner Larry O'Brien was fighting to keep control, but the situation was bigger than existing policies. By 1983, the NBA and the Players Association negotiated their first anti-drug agreement. It was a start, but it was not strong enough to fix what had already taken root. The culture had shifted too far. And here is the part many people miss. The true villain was not simply the players. It was the way the drug had been packaged and promoted across society. It was glamorized. It was normalized. It was presented as something powerful and harmless at the same time. Richardson explained that the deception was everywhere. For young athletes living fast, chasing fame and pressure, it looked like a shortcut to energy, confidence, and edge. But what it really delivered was collapse. Careers vanished, legacies were stained, and an entire league nearly lost its future before it found a way to pull itself back together. The wildest part is this. The media was not warning people about cocaine. It was hyping it up. Major outlets were running stories calling it a wonder drug. Newsweek published pieces suggesting it could make you sharper, boost your confidence, even improve your personal life, all while claiming it had no addictive properties. No danger, no downside, just upside. That was the message being pushed into living rooms across America. So when young NBA stars stepped into that world, this was not framed as risky behavior. It was marketed as elite behavior. Fast life, big money, big city, big energy. And many of the athletes caught in this storm were young, wealthy black men who had suddenly gone from modest beginnings to massive contracts almost overnight. They were handed fame and fortune, then handed a lie wrapped in glamour. This was not just about individual moral failure. It was about a culture that told them this was normal. Everything shifted on February 1st, 1984. David Stern replaced Larry O'Brien as NBA commissioner and inherited a league that was hanging by a thread. Television ratings were weak, sponsors were nervous, public trust was fading. Stern understood that if the NBA did not change fast, it might not survive in its current form. According to Spencer Haywood, Stern was clear and direct about what needed to happen. There would be accountability, no more quiet tolerance, no more soft handling. On January 10, 1986, John Drew became the first active NBA player banned for life by the league. That sent shockwaves. Then just 6 weeks later, on February 25, 1986, Michael Ray Richardson became the second after testing positive for cocaine for the third time in 3 seasons. The message was no longer subtle. The era of looking the other way was over, but that acceptance came after hitting a painful low point. When he returned from a road trip and saw league officials waiting for him at the airport, reality crashed down. His immediate reaction was not clarity, it was a 48-hour binge. That shows how deep the grip was, and the damage went far beyond box scores and contracts. 2 days after being drafted second overall by the Boston Celtics in 1986, University of Maryland star Len Bias suffered cardiac arrhythmia linked to cocaine use. He was just 22 years old. His passing stunned the sports world and became a symbol in the national conversation about drugs. It led directly to the Anti-Drug Abuse Act of 1986, often called the Len Bias Law, which created strict mandatory minimum sentencing laws that would impact communities for decades. One young life became a turning point in federal policy. That is how big this crisis had grown.
That I hit when I got rock bottom is when I flew back in town coming from Atlanta and I saw the NBA people there waiting on me. That's when it hit like this ain't no joke. I had a binge where now I'm gonna get high, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I went on like a 4-day binge. And then when like the 4-day binge was over, I got home and I said, I'm completely done. I'm gonna get focused because I'm gonna get myself like back in the league or either I'm gonna go overseas and play. Even to this day, and I've been clean about 40 years. Wow. And my whole thing is just is that I don't really have a grudge because if I wouldn't have been doing it, I never would have got banned. But in the situation that everything went down because at that time it was everywhere.
Then there is the part that feels almost unbelievable. Spencer Haywood later admitted that his addiction reached such a dark place that he once plotted to harm his own coach, Paul Westhead. He contacted a friend in Detroit who had connections to dangerous people. He drove to Westhead's home in California. He damaged the coach's car. Only after calling his mother did the reality of what he was about to do hit him. That phone call stopped something irreversible from happening. This was not just a sports scandal, it was a cultural collapse playing out in real time. Careers fell apart, laws were rewritten, families were shaken, and the NBA had to rebuild its image piece by piece after nearly losing control of its own future. Michael Ray Richardson was banned from the NBA at just 30 years old. 30. That is supposed to be your prime, your peak, your legacy stretch. Instead, his career in the league was over. No farewell tour, no redemption arc in the States, just a hard stop. He left for Europe, rebuilt himself away from the spotlight, got sober, and never touched drugs again, not once. He stayed clean for 4 decades until his passing from prostate cancer in November 2025. That kind of turnaround does not get talked about enough. These stories are often framed as simple lessons about making better choices, but that misses the bigger picture. These men were not clueless. They were operating inside a system that told them the substance was safe, glamorous, even beneficial. They trusted the culture around them. When the truth hit, it hit hard. The fallout cost them prime years, reputations, and in some cases, everything they had built. Both Spencer Haywood and Michael Ray Richardson paid a heavy price while the league reset its image. As David Stern took control in 1984 and began reshaping the NBA, the crackdown became real. The message was clear. The league would clean itself up or it would fade away. And under Stern's leadership from 1984 to 2014, the transformation was dramatic. Annual revenue grew from $165 million to more than $5.5 billion. That is not growth. That is a full-scale reinvention. But reinvention always has a cost. The cocaine era was not just an embarrassing chapter the league quietly moved past. It was the breaking point that forced real structural change. Drug policies tightened. Player programs expanded. The image shifted from chaos to corporate discipline. What looked like collapse in the early 80s became the pressure that shaped the modern NBA brand. Players like Spencer Haywood, John Drew, and Michael Ray Richardson did not just live through an epidemic, they became the living warnings. Their suspensions, their struggles, their public falls, all of it sent a message to the next wave of stars. The era of unchecked behavior was over, the spotlight was brighter, the consequences were permanent. And when Richardson reflected on it later in life, his words carried weight. He did not sugarcoat it. He did not play the victim. He spoke about responsibility, about deception, about how quickly success can spiral if the foundation underneath is weak. That honesty might be the most powerful part of his legacy. Not the steals titles, not the all-star nods, the fact that he rebuilt his life and stayed clean for 40 years after losing it all.